I wanted to feel what it was like to be a woman for a day, so I drove a Mustang. Welcome to Fridays on the Fly, episode 16. I'm Eric.
And I'm Ward. We are creative people with all kind of creative projects, and we're going to try and talk about them tonight. So Halloween 2015 has not even come, and I'm still like mad trying to finish my costume, thinking I won't finish. I'll have a costume. I may not get all the parts done.
For this year's Halloween, yeah.
And it doesn't matter because really nobody's going to know my costume anyway. It's for me. I was thinking about next year's Halloween, and it kind of dovetailed from a project because, are you familiar with Doctor Who? I'm sure.
Of course.
I've always wanted to build a TARDIS, a life-size TARDIS.
It's so funny. I was just about to say those words. You're going to go as a TARDIS?
I mean, for a long time, I've thought about it. And I'm like, well, what do I do with it? And I'm like, well, now that we have a podcast, if we just put up on a corner in Reedsville and stood outside and handed out cards for us on the fly, I'm like, we'd probably hand out a lot of cards and get some people on the podcast. Because
if you built the TARDIS?
Yeah. People would want to take pictures with it.
So would you go all out, or are you thinking like cardboard?
I've already drawn the plans for it.
So making it out of
plywood.
Oh my gosh.
And I've come up with like how to make each side, collapsible where I can kind of pack it up flat and take it out. But yeah, I've come up with the plan. I mean, they're not fully done, but I've started drawing plans in SketchUp.
So 2 things probably have to happen before you do this. 1, this basement needs to get cleared out because I want that in here for every podcast.
Here's the thing though. It technically would not fit. It's too tall if you build it to scale.
Well, you can't build it. Don't build it to scale. Make sure it fits in the basement because...
What's the point of building if you're not doing it to scale?
Yeah, but you definitely want it down here.
Because the year after, I want to be an astronaut and I want this spaceship Challenger. And why are you going to build it if you don't do it to scale?
You're going to build the Challenger?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm not that much of a crazy person. I mean, I'm close. But so, I guess the TARDIS, the one I'm building it removable. I mean, I have to check the dimensions, but... it all comes down. So
it's huge.
It's pretty tall. Yeah, it's like 8 feet.
Well, it's not even the height of it, but the width is not standard telephone.
It's like
British
4.5.
It's
feet.
crazy. It's big. It's big. I've seen a life-size TARDIS in person.
I drew up 2 scale plans the other week because I'm like, I want to do this.
I wish I was really good at building things. I'm just not.
That could be your vlog. You just try to build things and you just take a video of the fail. Eric's fail blog. You could probably do really well with that because people love seeing other people fail.
Oh gosh, yeah.
All right, so let's get back to shops and tools. Do we want to broach that subject?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, again, like we have 2 different shops, but I just want to know what you're using and why you pick those specific tools. Obviously, price comes into a big play, with especially the tools that you use because your tools are expensive. And you get into those saws and woodworking tools, that stuff is really expensive. It's not like automotive tools where it's a screwdriver set. It's going to range.
The bandsaw, when father-in-law gave it to me, he said, here it is, don't know if it works. So I started researching, what a bandsaw was, how it would do for me. And I realized this is the tool I've been wanting. I didn't know. So I looked at, all right, well, if this one doesn't work, I kind of want one now, Like you put one in my garage, even if it doesn't work now, I kind of want one. So I looked at, well, if I wanted one, what would I get? I'd get a $1,500 bandsaw.
$1,500?
Yeah.
Where does that price range at?
Well, you have like a tabletop bandsaw, you have a stand bandsaw, you have a floor bandsaw. This one would be a stand. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more power. I mean, you can get a table bandsaw for like $300, I think. So it's not all the way at the extreme, but it's nicer than average.
Right.
And that's usually where I follow my tools that, I want something a little bit better than average. I want something that's going to last, that's going to do what I need to do, and then have room to... Hey, if I get crazy, it's got that room to have more power, to have more options. So that was the one I wanted, but this bandsaw, I looked up how to repair them, how to put them back together, and I got this one working, so it saved me $1,500. But it's 30 years old, and it's a Craftsman, and ones back then, they were great. So.
Oh, yeah, the Craftsman's back. Yeah. It's Craftsman. Oh, that's amazing. What else are you using in your shop? What I picture, again, I don't make props. I don't do a lot of woodwork. I don't do any of that stuff. I picture like a lot of like little tools like Dremels, things like that. I guess what's the array of tools that you use mostly? Let's go through that. Your bandsaw's it now, but you can't just be using this bandsaw.
I mean, it changed because props were a more recent development. When I started growing my tools once I moved to a house. Before I had an apartment, I didn't have room for anything. Right. I think I started with a table saw and a jigsaw and a drill. That was it. And I built quite a bit of furniture with a table saw, a jigsaw, and a drill. And so then my father-in-law gave me my table saw I have, which, great. That makes building furniture a lot easier. I don't build as much furniture. I'm doing more prop work now.
Yeah, so what's involved with that? The dagger is really, it looks kind of intricate.
22 inches tall, so it's not necessarily little.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't want to say it was little.
Well, let's talk about how I built that. I have a scroll saw, which is just a very fine blade, which allows you to do really intricate cuts, really tight curves. Table saw is good for straight cut. I mean, you can do curves, but it's tricky. Don't try to do it. So the bandsaw lets you do some curves. It's kind of like a jigsaw, but gives you a little bit more control.
Right. Because you're controlling the wood instead of the saw.
Yeah. You can do curves because the blade's thinner and you can do a little more precise. Scroll saw is such a tiny blade that you can do really tight cuts, scroll work.
The scroll saw is the same thing, though, where you're maneuvering the piece of wood.
It's similar to a bandsaw, just really fine detail. Yeah. Table saw is a lot less detailed. Scroll saw, very much detailed. Bandsaw's right in the middle. So I use the scroll saw to cut some of the blades. You know, there's some curves and things in there. I use the bandsaw on it as well.
To make the handle of it. How did you make the handle of it? Because it's got all those little...
It looks like almost like a wrap.
Ridges. Yeah, it almost looks like a wrap. How did you make that?
Started as a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. Used the bandsaw to trim the rough shape. And then I left a nub on each end because I built all these pieces for the knife as separate pieces. I left nubs on the end because I wasn't sure was this going to be like kind of fit into the next piece or is it going to also lets me hold it and work on it. So from there... I traced my lines of each kind of ridge wrap, and I choose a bandsaw just to slightly cut into the wood on each end, short end, so then I could trace from one end to the other so they all kind of, the wrap is continuous. So from there, on the short end, I have these grooves in there, so across the face, I took a handsaw and scored a line from one cut to the next. So now all my cuts are continuous.
Line up, right.
From there, I took a file, and I just kind of filed down to where it looked like it was kind of curved. It's like a 3-sided file. Filed it down to where it looks like a wrap, and it does. It looks like it's a wrap all the way around.
Yeah.
That's the process of the handle.
I wasn't sure if you did that with power tools or if you did it with hand tools, and it's hand tools. Because, I mean, do you have like one of those little Dremel things? Because those seem like really handy.
I mean, I've got a Dremel, but for work like that, it's not quite precise enough. You know, it goes a little too fast.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't really know much about those things.
I mean, I've got a Dremel, but I really don't use it that much. I can usually do it with a drill or a bandsaw or a scroll saw. Yeah. I mean, it's nice if you need a tool that does a lot, but once you get into have as many tools as I have, you don't really need it.
Have you bought any of these tools already on like the cheap side and then trashed them? Because I've done that so many times. I've bought cheap, use it for a year or less. It gets destroyed. I've realized, okay, you know what? I should have spent my money, and now I have to go spend the money.
Not too much. I guess somebody must have given this to me before moving here. Somebody gave me like a Ryobi drill. You know, I used that a month or two before it quit. Yeah, I mean, usually I'm just kind of the person that I research and make sure that what I'm getting is going to do what I want, is going to last. I guess when I was still in school, I had this goal/dream to graft a Cadillac Escalade front end onto a Nissan pickup truck.
Huh.
That dream never quite made it, but I did a ton of fiberglass work, really to no avail. And I had an electric sander, and I think I went through like a couple Black & Deckers, and I went through a ton of sanders that just didn't hold up. So when I finally got a sander, now I've got like I think a DeWalt or something a little bit nicer that I know is not going to.
I still end up with like mid-grade. I'll still, when I'm shopping for a power tool, obviously I'm not going to get the skill crap because it's crap, but I'm not going to get the end of the rainbow stuff because it's just crazy. So I usually end up with something like Bosch.
Bosch is a great brand.
Yeah. They're mid-priced as compared to like DeWalt or, Skills. So
I was redoing some cabinet doors when I moved in here, and I needed a router to round over the edge of the doors, and didn't have one, so I was looking into it. And I got a Bosch, but of course it's like the crazy top-of-the-line Bosch that sometimes I tend to go overboard. So I'm like, I'd rather go overboard than underboard.
I go overboard with my automotive tools.
Really, the only tool I have right now that I feel like I kind of cheaped out on, but I didn't really because somebody gave it to me, is my drill press. It's a Harbor Freight drill press, and it's just quite a bit of aggravation there. I mean, it's hard to screw up a drill press, and it does the job. There's just a lot of little things that are cheap on it. The handles keep loosening up, and it's just stuff like that.
A lot of plastic parts probably. Yeah. I'm that way about my automotive tools. It has to be quality. There's just no getting around it. I can't cheap out on like the tiniest little thing. Sometimes I'll cheap out on like screwdrivers just because I know I'm going to abuse them. That's about it. But
so when you say you don't cheap out, what brands are we talking about?
Usually Snap-on or Craftsman. And I buy the Craftsman because I'll go to Sears for something. Sears is such a trap. It's a trap. It is. You go to Sears for like the smallest thing. I went for foosballs. I was like trying to find foosballs. Couldn't find them anywhere. But Sears had them because they sell foosball tables and ping pong tables. So we went and got foosballs. And you walk in there, it's like 20 rows of tools. So you go looking through because you love tools. We all love tools. It's a whole section. Half of the store is tools. So, you get trapped in the Craftsman stuff sometimes. And you're like, I could really use a tap and die set. it's 25% off. So that's how I end up with the Craftsman stuff, just because it's lifetime warranty and there's stores. If there was a Snap-on store, could you imagine a Snap-on store? Why have they not opened a Snap-on store yet? That's an idea right there. A Snap-on store. You could piggyback it with something. I don't know what store you'd piggyback that with, but
Napa.
See, yeah, Napa and Snap-on tools. But I think Napa sells their own tools. They're probably garbage.
No, I was kind of spoiled in automotive tools because my dad, he ran a body shop for a few years. So every tool I can imagine and some that I wouldn't have never fathomed existed, he had. I mean, he has tool chests full of tools.
And my dad was the same way. He had a shop. He would have those big Snap-on chests and filled with tools that anything you needed, it was there. So I was spoiled too.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times growing up, I'd be doing something and I didn't have the right tool. My dad's like, well, why don't you get a tool that does this? They make a tool that does that? Yeah. Oh, yeah, just go in there, third tool chest on the left, third drawer down, and tons of stuff. So I was spoiled. I mean, as far as automotive tools I have now, I bought a big Craftsman set of ratchets and sockets, 1/4 inch, 3/8, half inch. I've got a few specialty things. I don't know, what kind of automotive tools do you have? Anything?
I've got everything pretty much to fix my car, especially brake tools and,
Like what?
Well, you need some, strangely enough, my last van still had drum brakes on the back of it. Which, a lot of cars actually still have drum brakes on the back.
My S10s have drum brakes.
So it's drum brakes. So, I still have to my Snap-on drum brake tools, to get the springs all out of it. And
you have tools for that? I've replaced the drum brakes on both my S10s and use nothing but pliers.
Yeah, that one it's usually a little round circle that a pin goes through. Yeah. And you have to push that in and twist it to get the round. Well, they make a tool for that.
I use a screwdriver plier or something.
No, see, they make tools for everything. That's what I mean. The special tools like that. But, every size ratchet and Snap-on, 1/4 inch, half inch, 3/8, all Snap-on. 2 or 3 of each. The specialty ones, the spark plug ratchets, that would pivot at the head so you can lift the whole thing. Mine's probably 40 years old. I've never once had a problem with it ever. Then Snap-on makes these, they're new. They're ratcheting screwdrivers that you can pull out. You pull it out and you replace it with a different one. So you pull out the whole shaft of the screwdriver and you go replace it with one that's 2 feet long or 2 inches long or anywhere in between. That's incredible. If you work on cars or anything like that, it's so helpful to not have your hand down in the engine bay trying to twist in these tight little quarters. So that's my newest thing is little screwdrivers that cost, about $100 each for a screwdriver. It's stuff like that. They have the time to think of everything. They're like the Mercedes of tools because Mercedes has the time to think of every little piece of crap to put on their car. Snap-on has the time to think of every little thing that you might need. If you want wrenches, the old box wrenches, they'll have them with just like a little bend in it, just so to certain angles.
My dad's got those.
Of course. Because the Snap-on man comes and he's come to my dad's shop. It's exactly what I described about Sears. They show you this thing and it's like, what?
I need that.
I can't live without that. Yeah, I never realized how much stuff cost at Snap-on as a kid. I mean, I don't know if you did either.
Not as a kid, no.
No.
But now, yeah.
Yeah, right. I'd never know the cost of anything. And so my dad, he'd get tools and get a rolling chest. Those things, they were like $15,000. $15,000 for that? I wanted one for Christmas. I had my own little tool sets and I remember telling my dad, yeah, I want a box just like that one. He's like, well, the bottom of that's 10 grand. Just like, $1,000? When I got older, I went to pegboards just because the thought of having a $10,000 to $20,000 rolling check, that's crazy. That's overboard. But I guess you own a shop. I mean, I don't see where the pegboard would work though. It cost me $8 for that pegboard. I got 2 or 3 of them in the garage. I've got $24 invested into hanging my tools up. I've just had bad luck with crappy tools. My dad would give me the crappy tools, the hand down crappy tools that he had before he got the Snap-ons. And they were junk, And then eventually, as I was like 10 or 11, I would start getting Snap-on tools for Christmas. So I think Snap-on is like the pinnacle of automotive tools. I don't know that you can. I think Mac is like coming around now, but I don't own any Mac tools. But is your dad shop was it like all Snap-on and Craftsman or?
A lot of Snap-on. I remember seeing the Snap-on truck at his shop all the time. But I know he's got some Mac tools and he's got Craftsman. He's got everything.
Right, everybody's got the mix.
And he's got so many. It's ridiculous.
I even have Snap-on's like French brand. Blue Point is a Snap-on brand. Yeah, it's like their European brand. Yeah, I've a tire pressure gauge that I paid $50 for. You can get them for $5 at the counter at any automotive store, but I gotta have the Snap-on one.
There you go. I think my key tool in my shop, bandsaw, definitely. I love that. But like the drill and it's hard to pin it down on just one. But the bandsaw is a very nice tool.
It's tough because I work on cars. It's everything.
Yeah, it's
there's not too much stuff that I don't use up there. I was trying to think of some if I actually had a cheap tool that I used No, I've replaced everything with good stuff just because I don't want to get burned. That's the worst, is when you're in the middle of something and either you don't have a tool or the tool's so crappy that you broke it. You've got half the car apart. That's happened a couple times. I've had a Ford Mustang. I was working on the brakes. The only way when you take the caliper off to get the piston to go back in is to turn it.
I used a clamp and a piece of plyboard.
Well, not for a Mustang. For mine, yes.
Mustangs are that different?
Yeah. So I had to go drive to the auto parts store, get this crappy little cube. It has 2 nubs on each corner of the cube. Each set is supposed to fit a different model or whatever. Well, none of them fit. So I had to take it onto the grinder, grind it down to make it work, this cheap tool, and then twist it in. It took 2 people, somebody to hold the caliper and somebody to ratchet this thing in. It's just so ridiculous. I don't understand why they parts like that, why they make things like that sometimes. This has always stuck with me because I remember you said it as I wanted to feel what it was like to be a woman for a day. So I drove a Mustang. I think it was you that said that to me.
I don't know. I don't recall that.
Oh, I think it was. Yeah. I have got that one little specialty tool. It's really crappy. And I'm sure that Snap-on makes like one that fits each model. It's the only one I've ever come across where I've had to screw it back in. I just don't know how it works after that. Every time you apply the brakes, it corkscrews out.
Is that why there's so many Mustang wrecks? The brakes just don't work.
I don't know. Just uncalled for. I have a special tool that pushes the piston back in. You take the old brake pad and you twist this thing and it pushes the pistons back in, throw the old brake pad away. So I've never encountered anything like that before. We had to twist it back in.
You know, following up on ridiculous, after I got my orange S10, I decided that I would never buy a car without changing the oil first, because the oil filter on that orange truck is so ridiculous to reach. And it's like, you can't really reach it from the bottom, but you can't really reach it from the top. Oh. So you just never change it because it's just too much work. No, I do. But man,
I just put magnets on it. The way it holds all the shavings.
Chevrolet usually makes, like mass parts for everything. Everything's the same. Like my little S10, that oil filter is no problem. Like somebody put it in a spot where you could actually change it. So I figured the orange truck is a different engine, but I figured it's all GM. Why would it be different? It's different. I don't know. Maybe they assumed you never needed to change the oil filter, or people that bought that kind of engine just weren't into changing the oil filter.
Maybe this was when Chevy was going through their 100,000-mile oil change.
It must have been. Yeah. I'm like, based on the oil filter alone, I almost want to sell this truck.
Okay, well, that leads me to something. I talked about Snap-on, and that's pretty much what I'm going to buy. I'll buy Craftsman sometimes. Is there anything, it doesn't have to be tools, that you're brand loyal to? And I thought about this. There's probably some things that you are brand loyal to. I thought of one in particular. So is there anything that you're brand loyal?
I'm not sure how a lot of those.
Yeah, see, that's the first thing I thought is he's really brand loyal to GM. Jennifer doesn't drive a GM.
No.
Did you go shopping for her car, or did she pick her car?
We looked together.
Did you ever look at Chevys with Jennifer? Did you try to steer her towards GM?
Did I try to steer at it? No. Yeah. We looked at the Chevrolet Malibu, but I didn't like it because they just changed the look of it. And I didn't like the way they changed it. We were going to look at a Mazda 6, but we couldn't find a dealership nearby. I don't know why.
Because we're in Rockingham County. There's no Mazda. Boy, you ain't want a truck?
We looked very hard at the Honda, but the Hyundai is basically the new Honda. The Hyundai is a good car. For what you get and for the price, it's like, we really like this.
It's hard not to buy it. The only thing it does is it doesn't hold its value like a Honda. People still see it as a Hyundai. And a year later, it's going to be worth half of what you paid for it.
Beautiful thing is, we got our car knowing that the last one was a Hyundai. Right. We drove it to the ground. And when the dealership, we traded in, the dealership was like, we'll give you this much for it. We're like, here are the keys, hurry, take it quick. Oh, because we thought about trying to sell it on our own. Because, there were a few things wrong with it. Over 200,000 miles,
Yeah, it's hard to sell a car over 200,000, especially a Hyundai.
And especially with I can't remember what was wrong with it, but there's some things that were kind of creeping up. They were like, that's rough. So when they offered us that money, we're like, take the keys, hurry, let's hurry, let's get this deal done. I don't want them to rethink it.
That's how I felt when I got rid of my van. You want to give me how much? Okay, where? I got cash for the rest of it. Hold on. Don't look inside of it.
Yeah, we were thrilled.
So your brand loyalty is definitely to GM. Your brand loyalty.
Well, let's go back to GM. I think part of my brand loyalty is the fact that I'm very big in the mini truck, the sport truck culture. What kind of defined that culture more than the 88 to 2000 C1500? I love the style. The S10, you can't go to a mini truck show without, seeing a million S10s.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it's GM, but it's also just part of the style. But yeah, I definitely like GM. But now I really like Hyundai too.
So you feel brand loyal to Hyundai. Would you ever buy a Hyundai and drive it?
If we could afford 2 newer cars, I would get a Hyundai Sonata in a heartbeat. My latest vehicle, hey, I finally have air conditioning and heat. That's nice.
So what else are you brand loyal to?
I really like Sony. I don't game like I used to, but I owned a PS2. I owned a PS3. I don't know if I'll make the jump to PS4. I'd say at this point, the only reason I'd make a jump to PS4 is if the PS3 breaks, just because That's my Netflix box.
You've never had an Xbox?
Never had an Xbox. I really like Audio Technica. You know, like my mics are Audio Technica, my headphones are Audio Technica. I believe your headphones are Sony. So
I think my headphones are Sony.
Yeah. But tools, you know, I come back a lot to ShopFox. You know, like I think the bandsaw I was looking at getting if mine didn't work was a ShopFox, which is a higher end brand.
I've never heard. Well, I don't know anything about.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that I'm brand loyal to at all. Like you, strangely enough, I like a Hyundai. A good price for a car.
I look for things that are going to last, are going to do what I need to do, and that I'm not going to have problems with.
But sometimes you can get brand loyal blind. And I was a huge Chevy guy my whole life. That's all I ever owned were Chevys. But then it got to a point where it was like, these are not the same quality that they were. And ever since then, I have no car brand loyalty at all. Whatever I can find that I like, that I think is going to last, I buy it. So you'd still buy a brand new Chevy truck? If you had the money and you could buy a new truck, somebody gave you 50 grand and you could only spend it on a vehicle, what would you get?
Hyundai Sonata.
Really? You get a Hyundai Sonata?
I mean, I wouldn't buy a new truck because I just don't need a new truck.
Those are really nice, though. You spend 50 grand, you can get a really nice one with leather, the same amenities that your Hyundai Sonata has, but it's got a bed.
Yeah, but the gas mileage is like 15, 18. I got my S10 because it was cheap, and at that point, that's what I wanted. Part of it was the gas mileage, and it gave me flexibility where I could haul 4 people, or I could fold down the seat and, you know, haul some plywood. This other truck I got, always wanted that style of truck, because that's like the sport truck king is the Chevy C1500 from that year. I'm like, I've always wanted one. I've always wanted to get one and put some big wheels on it and drop it, and
those are
finally cool. I can do that. So really, I'm just living in the 90s.
Well, those trucks, you could still do them well now without doing it 90s style.
Oh, yeah.
They could still look good now. I will say, we're probably big Lego fans. We can't use any of that other. There are tons of other
Legos.
Other cheap like Legos out there.
Yeah.
It's got to be Lego. It can't be the cheap ones.
When relatives give aid like cheap Legos, I'm like, Jennifer, throw those away later. Get rid of those.
We don't want them seeing those. Don't let the boys see those.
Oh, yeah, no. There's certain brands I gravitate towards, but I still research phones. I really like Motorola, but I'm not just going to buy whatever Motorola phone I find. I'm going to research and make sure that, are they still making good phones? Because nowadays, companies go from good to bad very quickly.
It's amazing how people, once they get into Apple, how brand loyal they are to Apple. The phone, the Mac Pros, everything. I mean, I had my iPhone, but they didn't want to give me a new one for free, so I had no problem switching. But I did like my iPhone. I liked it a lot.
I mean, I think Apple stuff is nice, but we looked really hard at getting a Apple computer. But for what you'd get for getting a Dell and what you could get for an Apple, you get so much more for less for getting a Dell.
It's the cool factor of having the Apple.
Yeah, you're part of a club. It's good stuff. At the same time, it kind of comes down to being part of a club. But again, I think part of the thing was you didn't just get a laptop. You got a MacBook Air, It's like,
right.
Did you get a laptop? No, it's a MacBook Air. It's a laptop. MacBook Air. I'm pretty sure that's still a laptop.
What is that woman's name who won't marry people in Kentucky?
My American hero, Kim. I'm so glad you're talking about that. I've been wanting to talk about that one for all week.
Gosh, you should have brought that up. I actually thought about you when this happened. And I was thinking, what would Ward actually think about this? Are we gonna have different opinions about this? I really wasn't sure.
I thought about bringing it up on the show, but we've never really gotten political and religious, and I don't know if we want to go that way, but
I only bring it up because someone else brought it up to me. And what would Ward think about it?
The church, the kind of church I go to and the kind of atmosphere there.
And I go to the same kind of place.
I was like, Jennifer, can I talk about my American hero on Sunday? She's like, don't mention it. I just want to start discussion. Here's my thing. She's a Christian, great, but you have a job to do, and you agree to do the job. I guarantee there's probably some other law or something she upholds that isn't Christian.
Did you ever once think that you were marrying Christians to non-Christians? Because you shouldn't be doing that. It's biblical. You shouldn't be marrying Christians to non-Christians. Did you stand on your Bible then? Here's
the thing that's even more is that she's the head of that county clerk's office. And it's not just she wouldn't marry homosexuals.
She's not. Is she actually marrying people, or is she just issuing marriage licenses? I don't really know her role.
Don't quote me, but I think she's issuing licenses. She easily could have said, "This violates my religious beliefs. I'm not going to do it," and let somebody else in the office do it. She's the head of that office. She would not let anybody in the office issue a license, whether they wanted to or not. You're mad that her quote unquote beliefs are being inflicted, that she's being forced to marry people. But you're forcing your beliefs on everybody in your office. If you don't want to do it, don't, but step aside and let the other people do it.
You know what? No, I completely disagree. If you don't want to do it, tough luck. Your job is for the people. You're an elected, she's elected. The people have voted. They're okay with this. We might not be okay with it. You might not be okay with it, but it's now your job to uphold the law. Even biblical principle says It's okay to follow man's law. That's what you should do. Follow man's law. Go do your job.
But that's point one, that do your job, that you knew what you're getting into when you got that position. But point two is, even if you didn't want to, you didn't have to.
Right.
And then you're going to force the people in your office. Well, how is forcing your beliefs on them any different?
It's your job.
Yeah.
You don't like your job? Quit your job.
Why are you going to make a fuss over a gay couple where I'm sure you married two people that weren't Christian?
Right.
Where was your outrage then?
Right.
Missed it. I saw a Facebook post. I really wanted to respond, but I don't really know the people. Somebody said only 4% of the population is gay. So really, what's the harm? I just wanted to be like, what? So if a percentage is less, it's okay to discriminate against them. I want to ask, so what's the magic number where it's not okay to discriminate? Is it like 15%, 20? Like, where's that threshold?
Where do they get a say? So
let's say I'm living in a town where it's only like 1% white. It's okay if everybody, just discriminates against me because I'm only 1%. I don't matter. I so badly wanted to comment.
Oh, I see those sometimes too, and I want to comment, but then I think, I'm not one of these people.
It's not going to change their mind. They're going to come up with some other ridiculous statistic or reason. But
it's so amazing to see all these people backing her and people that I know and go to church with. And it's amazing how different the thought pattern is.
A lot of people claim that court redefined marriage as it's not just one man, one woman.
Right.
The Bible defines it. Supreme Court changed it. And my take on that is, you realize every culture in the world has marriage. Christians don't own marriage. The Supreme Court did not change my Christian view of marriage. It's still the same thing.
Everyone is under the assumption that this country was founded on God. In God we trust. I honestly saw that. I'm big into history. Whenever I see that and wherever I see somebody post that, I think they were just doing it. It was a just in case. You know what I mean? Just in case this God thing is real. We should really do something here, because these are the same people that were alchemists. They believed in many things. They believed in, astrology.
I just don't remember when Christians got the stranglehold on marriage, that we own it for everybody and we get to define it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that a lot of people equate the United States with under God, that this country was founded on the principles of the Bible. And was it founded on the principles of the Bible when we handed the Indians their plague-infested blankets? What part was founded on?
The part in the Bible says, "Do unto others before they can do to you." We're just hitting them first. What was that other verse? Walk softly and carry a big stick.
Right.
Got it.
Or when we decided to secede from a country because we no longer wanted to pay taxes. It makes Christians look so exclusive that it looks borderline
discriminatory.
It makes it look very discriminatory in a bad way. I see a lot of, you need to accept us. We're gay. Accept us. But nobody saying they're Christians. They've believed this for 2,000 years. That's what they believe. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with Christians believing what they believe. They're not trying to tear you down. What they're saying is being homosexual is wrong and it's a sin. You have to accept that just as much as Christians have to accept that you're gay. That's what I'm not seeing.
If you're Christian, well, then you may have an issue with homosexuality. If you want to preach to this person that's gay, they're not a Christian. It's not a big tenet for them,
Right. Setting aside the preaching to someone who's gay, the Bible is against homosexuality. Would you agree?
I would probably lean that way.
Yeah, I'd lean that way.
To clarify, I think the Bible leans that way. I have a harder time leaning that way.
I completely agree. I'm in the same boat. I don't look at Christians as going, oh, well, you need to be more inclusive, include the gay couples. And no, it's okay if you believe that. It's okay. That's fine. And I think that's what the homosexuals need to pick up on, is that it's okay that they believe that. They've believed it for a long time. They're just trying to tell you what they believe. That's it.
Yeah, but see, I think Christians sometimes get into, well, you need to see it my way, and I'm going to make sure.
I completely agree. And those are the ones that have a spotlight on them.
Let everybody be. I mean, they're not a Christian. They don't need to follow Christian rules.
Right. I completely agree. It shouldn't happen. They don't believe that.
Do you know how often twisting somebody's arm to make them become a Christian works? They may say they're a Christian, but they're not. If you torture somebody, they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear just to make it stop. And this has been the political moment on Fridays on the Fly.
Yeah, I don't want to have another one anytime soon. Top 3. I tell you, after we talked about the mask vehicles, I went and looked them up online and just relived like a little bit of childhood for about 15 minutes. Did you really?
Yeah.
I forgot how many I had. When I'd see a picture when I was like, yes, I had that one. I don't think I had the 57 Chevy, but I owned pretty much all the rest. Top 3 favorite actors.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the top 3 guys that if they're in the movie,
You're
wanna
going to watch
see
it.
Michael Keaton. I'm a big Michael Keaton fan.
Yeah, that's one of mine.
I mean, if he's in it, I want to see it. If I see an interview he's doing, I want to hear it.
I just watched Beetlejuice the other day.
Oh.
Let me point out one thing about Beetlejuice. It's rated PG.
Really?
PG. So I thought, kids and I will sit down and watch Beetlejuice. Well, this is the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when rating system was just a touch different. He must have said the F word 3 or 4 times.
Really?
I was like, what? This is PG.
I own that movie and I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Man.
The swearing, it was a little much. Okay, we're done, kids.
The man did what? Beetlejuice in 88 and Batman in 89?
Yeah.
Has there ever been like a better back-to-back?
Just watching Beetlejuice is what this guy is incredible.
Well, here's
it
the
had
thing.
to be improv.
You see that movie and you see Michael Keaton, you think, oh, he did a pretty good job. Put any other actor in there, and then you'd see how much he really did.
Yeah.
You just don't realize what he did.
So Michael Keaton, both of us.
Tom Hardy, because he picks really neat movie roles.
Yeah.
He did Mad Max. Picked a great
Right.
role. I come back to Locke. The entire movie is Tom Hardy driving a car. That
Yeah.
sounds terrible. The man makes it work. He just picks really neat roles. I just watched Child 44. It came out
I didn't
this
see
year.
that.
Terrible movie, but Tom Hardy did such a great job.
Yeah, I went with Michael Keaton too, but John Cusack's probably my other one. He's awkward. He picks movies that I like. He picks roles that I like.
I got a better one. Denzel Washington.
Yeah, it's
I'm a big fan of Denzel. I'll watch anything he does.
You've got to see the show.
Denzel could do Medea movie, and I'd
You'd
watch
go
it.
see it?
Yeah, Ed Norton. I like Ed Norton.
Yeah, Ed Norton's another one too. Man, it's amazing. The movies that I really love that guy in. I really liked American History X. The exact polar opposite movie, and this is a rom-com, and it's with Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller plays a rabbi, and Ed Norton plays a priest. Keeping the Faith. Really good movie. Just something that you can sit and watch and just enjoy for a couple minutes, and just but Edward Norton from American History X to Priest. I really like Jason Bateman after Arrested Development, but now he's doing all these Judd Apatow type movies.
He's done too many movies I don't like,
right,
to say that, but Bad Words, man, he directed that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read or seen my review on that.
Yeah.
He directed that movie. That's the first movie he directed.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, Jason Bateman's directing the movie. Okay, it's
right.
I was so impressed, and not just because it's not terrible, but I thought he directed it really well.
Yeah.
And really neat movie.
His brand of humor suits me perfectly. When I see Jason Bateman's in, I'm like, okay, I'll watch that. So he's one of those guys I'll just watch, and it's a hit or miss, like you said, with the movies. I mean, it could be good, might not be good. And I think we mentioned before is Bill Nighy.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
It's just, again, that I can watch. I just think he's great.
He's incredible.
Great. So top 3, I mean,
Keaton definitely.
Michael Keaton for me.
Denzel's got to be on it. And it's tough between Ed Norton and Tom Hardy. In the future, Tom Hardy's going to be in a lot more movies, and I'm not sure Ed Norton's going to be quite as prolific.
I think Ed Norton's behind the scenes now mostly.
He is. We know he also has a reputation of being very difficult to work with, and he's a perfectionist.
And that's what I've heard. Not so much that he's difficult, but as a result of his perfectionism. If you're listening, Edward Norton, we'll work with you.
Oh, yeah. We'll put you on the show ASAP.
We'll put you in a little video. It's fine. How do you feel about working with midgets?
So what's your 3?
Mine were Keaton, Cusack, and probably, I guess I'll still go with Jason Bateman because he still draws me into these movies. Thanks for listening to Fridays on the Fly. I'm Eric.
And I'm Ward. Check out our website, fridaysonthefly.com. You can find our show notes. You can find links to iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram. There may be more, but check us out. Please rate, review us, and let us know on iTunes. We want to know what you think, and you can contact us on our webpage. We'd like to know what you think, and share your own injuries. We'd love to cringe at your injuries.
We also have a Hotmail account and some MySpace, too. I mean, just for the people that don't, that haven't updated.
Everybody's included here.